Hello, welcome to Epiphany number 44. Your most important asset is your client base. This is an addendum video to the knowledge base. I'm not going to go through every single thing that's on the knowledge base. You can read it for yourself. This is, by the way, on knowledge base 52.44, Epiphany 44. So the obvious most important asset in your business is you, of course. You either make or break the business. And I think if you're a hardworking, dedicated, committed advisor, then no matter what someone throws at you, you're going to make it work. And alternatively, if you just don't have the work ethic, you just don't have what it takes, you don't have the discipline, then no matter how much we give you, you're not going to make it work. So ultimately, it's you, obviously. But beyond you, the most important asset you have is your book of business. There are a lot of great assets, a lot of resources and things that make one company or one culture or one group of people more conducive to creating successful people than others. But ultimately, your client base is, I think, the most important asset that you can have. So there's probably three main reasons or three main benefits of having a good, active client base. First of all, a client base is not necessarily defined by the number. In other words, someone that has 300 clients doesn't necessarily have a better client base than someone that has 80. I think in the extremes it matters. If someone has 1,000 clients, I don't care how much of an idiot they are, that's still going to be overall a better client base than someone that has 50. But barring the extreme numbers, it's not really just about the number, though you always want to increase it. It's about having an active client base that likes and trusts you. So number one is the obvious, which is it helps generate revenue. Not just the trails, that's the big one, the residual income, the trails, the 12B1 fees, also the monthly drafts. In fact, having a lot of monthly drafts in and of itself is a sign of a very healthy client base. And next one is subsequent contributions. So again, having a good relationship with clients, being active, so to speak, them being active, that lends itself to clients adding extra money beyond the monthly draft, just separately adding extra money. So that's number one. Number two is referrals. So next to the revenue, this is the most important thing. If you want to get a business where it becomes fun and it's no longer stressful or anxious about where do I get my next client from, you have to build yourself a referral-based business. And as of this video, which is November 2019, I can point to two people in particular in our company and our organization, which is Steve Gonzalez and Steve Smith, which has both built I would argue probably almost 100%, 90% referral-based business. I know Gonzalez routinely has appointments or has clients waiting months to meet with him. And if the client isn't the type of client he wants, so to speak, he'll pass them on. He's not rude, he's not mean about it, but he won't take on everybody he can. He's at that point in his career. And that's when the business becomes fun. You set your own schedule. If the client wants to meet when he can't or doesn't want to meet, especially if it's a new client, he won't meet with them. Just like with a doctor, right? If you need an appointment with a doctor or a dentist or a CPA or a lawyer, you can't meet just whenever you want. You got to meet when and you can do that only when you have a referral-based business. And so how do you get that? Not only build a large client base, that's kind of the obvious, but build a healthy client base. And number three, having a large and active client base gives you an opportunity to test things. It's a testing ground. It's, newsletters, presentations, your follow-up system. Because I promise you, things that you think are important in the beginning are not, and the things that you don't think about become important later. Right? It doesn't matter what color your presentation is. And you might think it does, but when you have 50 clients and 100 clients and you look back, you realize how it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you do your follow, you don't need to make a phone call every 12 weeks. That's my experience. Every 3 months, people do that, or they want to meet with them every quarter or twice a year. And maybe those things do work for you. I don't want to say they don't, but you know how you figure it out is have a large client, not have 10 clients. Because everything works with 10 clients. If you have 10 clients and you meet with them every quarter, probably the clients themselves are not going to call you out on it. They're not going to say, hey, this is too much, because it's only 10 clients. So you think that, hey, look, this is working. But when you have 50 clients or 100 clients and you start doing that, first of all, you realize you don't have the time to call every client every 12 weeks or God forbid, meet every client every 12 weeks or even every 25 weeks. Also, what will happen, though, is out of your 100 clients, you're going to have 5, 6, 7, 8 that have the guts and the courage to call you out and say, hey, you don't need to call me every 12 weeks. And that's when you start realizing what works and what doesn't. So it's not about the 12 weeks or the 6 months I'm not, it's not about those individual things. My point just is, on a small client base, there's not enough data to point to what works and what doesn't. So having a larger client base that is active, that's involved with you and vice versa, gives you an opportunity to test things out and see if they really work, because you're spreading that test among a large data set. So what are some keys to developing an active client base? Remember, it's not just a large one, it's also active. So here's a few things. One is, I think, the no-brainer, the first obvious one, which is so easy to do, which is the monthly Nick Murray newsletters. He publishes it every month. Sometimes he'll miss one month out of the year, so at least 11 out of the year. I still send it 12 times a year. I'll just skip the newsletter if there isn't one. So it's either 11 or 12 of Nick Murray's newsletters. It's pre-approved. He does a great job. You know that it's our philosophy. It's being presented to the client. You're not just pulling some random financial newsletter. The second one is, I do recommend annual face-to-face, or at minimum annual video chat or annual phone call. I do think it's a little bit too much if you do quarterly, semi-annually. That's a different discussion, but I would just say at least once a year you meet with them face-to-face. Things like birthday cards, though I wouldn't overdo it. I would be careful about, sending every one of the children a birthday card, anniversary card. I think you can kind of become a little bit that used card salesman thing if you overdo it. Like if you met the kids once, but because you have their 529 plan, you have their date of birth, and now you send a card. I don't know, but I think to the client themselves, the ones that they know you've met face to face, you've dealt with them through all the paperwork and the presentations. Yeah, send a birthday card. Don't overdo it though. Don't send like a gift every time. There's a point where it can become too much. And the next thing I would do is make sure you have a very up-to-date clients worksheet. We have a very robust clients. It's called a clients worksheet that has all their accounts, has their account numbers. It'll have their packs, their account values, their number of shares, all that stuff, because then you can blatantly see, or I shouldn't say clearly see, what's missing, what's not missing, who has what, and so forth. The next one is really work hard to get monthly drafts attached to all of your clients. And I'm not going to give a whole thing on monthly drafts, but they're a hugely overlooked part of our business. I think it's a big mistake to do that. There's a lot of benefits to monthly drafts, not just the obvious revenue, but it's one of those things where the client that has a monthly draft versus a client that doesn't, regardless of the amount of money invested, the one that has a monthly draft, it's like there's more of a direct connection. There's more of an involvement with you and with their investments, because it's an active thing that's happening every single month. Okay. Whereas the guy that has $1 million with you, but did it 3 years ago, 5 years ago, of course they're still involved. Of course it's a lot of money. And of course they're going to look at their accounts. But the monthly draft, they see it every month coming in or out of their checking account into their own investment. And they're getting that statement from American Funds or whomever about the contribution being contributed. There's that involvement. There's they're active. Okay. And of course, referrals, right? Getting referrals. If you want the best litmus test to know if you have a good, healthy, active client base. Yes, it's monthly drafts. Yes, it's the number of accounts, number of clients. It's the amount of assets under management. All that's important. But the most important one is referrals. Are you getting on a regular basis referrals without asking for them? Without asking for them. Like if I asked you, how many referrals have you gotten from your clients in the last 12 months without asking? Like, they send you an email, send you a text. Hey, I talked to a guy at work. He says he has an interest in such and such, and I gave him your name. His name is George. So we'll look out for his call, right? How many times are you getting it unsolicited, so to speak? That's a very, very good sign of a healthy knowledge base. Another tip, sell to breakpoints. One of the great things about A-shares is the breakpoints. And breakpoints are simple, but they can get a little bit tricky in how they work. So make sure you learn how they really work. But you should, using your client's worksheet, you should be actively every once in a while, not like weekly, maybe not even monthly, but maybe quarterly. You should be looking at all your accounts and be seeing which ones are getting close to the next breakpoint, right? And you're going to pick up on that and notice that much more quickly and obviously than your client does. Your client doesn't even remember that there even are breakpoints, or if they do remember that there is, they don't remember where they are or what the breakpoints are. So you want to know what they are. So you've got a client that's at 92,000, and the next breakpoint's at 100, especially if they're doing a monthly draft, which means they're adding money. You want to maybe reach out to them, or at a minimum, before you do your annual visit, you want to review their breakpoints and then promote. Say, listen, if you're at 92,000, why not? If we can get you to 100, that hits the next breakpoint, and that means every contribution after that, which is your monthly drafts. Maybe you're only doing it $200 a month, but why not get that $200 a month in at a lower breakpoint than before? So let's get some lump sum money. Let's bring that 92,000 to 100. So now all the monthly drafts right after that point are assessed at a lower breakpoint. Things like that. That's what it means, selling to breakpoints. It's not only an excuse, it is an excuse, obviously, in a way, to get more contributions out of your client for you selfishly, but it's also really for them, again, especially those that are contributing consistently, so they can get a lower breakpoint. And here's the biggest tip I can give you. Single biggest tip ever, and it shocks me how few people do this. Ask them. Ask your clients what they want, right? Like, people have all these philosophies about follow-up and how you should handle your clients, what you should and should do, as I do. A lot of the stuff I'm giving you is my philosophies. But why not just ask them? And Nick Murray has a great, it's on the November 5th around the year, November 5th around a year. And it says, the title of it is, Don't Wait to Be Told, Ask. What it basically means is, ask them what they need. Hey, what kind of follow-up system would you like from me? Now, you may offer some suggestions first, or start with suggestions. Hey, here's the different ways we can follow up, call you, email you, or this is what I do. I definitely send a monthly newsletter. I like to meet with my clients once a year. Otherwise, I kind of leave them alone. I don't want to pest or bug you. Whatever. But at the end of the day, ask them, hey, what is it that you need or would like from an advisor like me? Hey, maybe they do want you to call you every month or every 3 months. I don't know, but actually ask them what it is, and then take notes and have them see you take notes, and then actually do those things. Right. The only challenge with that a little bit, you got to be cognizant, is if you have 30 clients, and every one of the 30 wants something a little different. Now you got to track all this. So. But why don't you ask first? Don't worry about that problem till that problem. There's a solution to that problem. I'm not going to get into it now, but don't even worry about that until you actually have that happening, where you have, dozens and dozens of different clients giving you dozens and dozens of different suggestions. Okay, so the last one about this is more about specifically having a healthy client base, okay? And that is what Nick Murray calls the annual 10% cleanup. What Nick Murray basically says is every year, usually beginning of the year, you assess your client base. Again, use your client's worksheet and identify the bottom 10 in terms of annoyance and personality, not in terms of dollar value. That's maybe your initial gut reaction or instinct is to say, I'm going to take on the bottom 10% in revenue. Not so much assets under management, because someone may have a low assets under management, but they do a lot of monthly drafts, so that's not the same. So it's revenue. But I wouldn't do that. I'll gladly take a client that's only doing $100 a month draft, but they're great clients. They're easygoing. They don't complain every time the market goes down. They don't bitch about. They don't say, "Hey, my cousin's got a mutual fund at 18% last year. Why aren't we?" They're not doing that nonsense because they trust you. That's easy. There's no maintenance. There's no work. What do I care? Then the next guy does, $1,000 a month pack and has $250,000 with me, but he's driving me crazy. Well, unless I'm really relying on income, which if you're part-time, you're not. Screw that. Now, what you can do is, there's a whole knowledge base about how to do this. I'll just give you a couple tips. There's a letter you can send that we got from Nick Murray, or email. It's not that you call them out on being a jerk. It's just that what you do is you basically tell them that the relationship isn't, or you don't have what they're looking for, is basically what your message is. So you can transfer them. Now, the great thing about our system here, especially if you override other reps, you can just give them to a downline or give them to somebody else. And I know most of you will not want to do this, right? Especially if you don't have a good, robust prospecting system. You want to hold on to everything you got, right? You want to close every little possible sale you can. In the beginning, you should, to get experience, but your long-term goal is not to do that. Going back to Steve Gonzalez, he routinely turns clients. Just recently, he turned down $1 million client because he didn't want to deal with it. Seriously, no joke, right? And I'm telling you, if you can do that and cut 10%, listen, if you have 30 clients, it's three. It's just three clients. We're not saying cut half your business, but you're supposed to be actively prospecting anyway. So you should make up those three clients within a month, to be honest, in this example, if you have three clients. So get rid of your bottom clients. That's how you maintain a positive and healthy, because there's an old saying in sales, which is, it's not the no's that drive you crazy, it's the maybes, right? When you're prospecting, when's the other maybe get? It's better just say no. That kind of applies in the client base too. It's not like the small clients that drive you crazy, because you hear that sometimes. Small client, all I got is just a little IRA or something. It's not really that. It's the pain in the ass clients that drive you crazy, and you got to get rid of them. So there you have it. Your client base, most important asset. Obviously, it's kind of not stated in the knowledge base, but kind of the unwritten obvious thing about it is you got to prospect more, right? You got to get more clients. So when you have a lot of clients, all this stuff makes sense. I just covered. If you've got 9 clients or 19 clients or even 39 clients, all this stuff doesn't really make sense yet, right? But when you start getting 50 and 100, not just 50 accounts, but 50 clients, which is 2, 3, 4 accounts per client, and you have a larger base, now all the things I'm telling you, I believe will make much more sense to you. So there you have it. Enjoy.